Zack Kassian gets a two-game suspension. Tonight's 11-game schedule in the NHL is option 2. The fallout from yesterday's Astros discipline, option 3. It's Kassian. It's Kassian by a significant amount. Let's just dive into that immediately. Minutes. I was wrong yesterday. I said we would learn about Kassian during the show. So my second mistake in 10 years was we didn't learn about Kassian during the show. Minutes after we went off the air last night, NHL's Department of Player Safety handed down a 2-game suspension for Kassian. It's his 3rd career suspension for an on-ice incident. Kassian will return to the ice Wednesday, January 29th against, yep, you guessed it, Matthew Tkachuk and the Calgary Flames. Earlier today, after the morning skate, Kassian spoke about all this stuff.
You got to respect the league's decision. That's basically what it comes down to.
Are you, you've had some time to reflect. Do you wish you did anything differently?
No, I'd do it again, all over again. It's one of those things. After speaking with Paris on the phone, he explained how the hit is not dirty. So that cleared up a lot of, that gave me some clarity of what you can do and what you can't do now. I'm not crying about the hits. It's hockey. It's a game of hockey. It's rough. I thought they're a little bit on the blind side, but at the end of the day, I've laid big hits like that. I've been hit like that. But 2 times is more than enough. You play with fire, eventually you're going to get burned. And he messed with the wrong guy, and I don't think he realizes that we're in the same division and have a great memory. Clean or dirty. If someone takes 2 runs at you on your blind side, I told them since I've been in minor midget, I've stood up for myself and my teammates. People don't do that to me or my teammates when I'm out there. To me, those are 2 dangerous hits. If they're clean, they're still predatorial, which is completely fine. I'm a big boy. I love big boy hockey. But if you're going to play big boy hockey, you got to answer the bell every once in a while. They're in our division. Hopefully I'm here for a long time. Next year, year after that, you know what I mean? There's no running away from it. Eventually, he'll get his.
Okay. Again, that was earlier today in Edmonton, Zack Kassian after getting 2 games last night. Tim, your first reaction to the clips. Let's dive into that first.
Next game, oh my God.
January 29th.
Next game, oh my, and this is what I was worried about the entire time, right? This is what I said yesterday. Kassian said as much. Peros explained how the hits were legal. Careful what you wish for, right? There's no running from it. Eventually, he'll get his. So now Peros has that. Kassian saying that on camera. And the other part that would scare me if I were one of the skilled players on either one of those teams, because I don't think these things bleed outside of their own kind of realm. I don't think the rest of the NHL, I don't think Cal Fleury, excuse me, I don't think Cal Fleury was watching yesterday and thought he'd take a run at Milan Lucic because he wouldn't have to worry about. Like I heard people saying that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
I didn't hear that.
I don't think that people think that way when they're playing a game. But if I were Gaudreau, if I were Lindholm, if I were Draisaitl, if I were McDavid, I would have my head on an absolute swivel on January 29th and February 2nd. Those are 2 days?
February 1st.
February 1st.
Yeah. There's another game sandwiched in the middle of that. But
January 29th and February 1st.
Correct.
I would have my head on an absolute swivel because it's going to get that way. And we can ask the people watching if the 2 games is too much, too little, or just right. But for me, I would be very worried. Like, NHL, I get. It sounds like you are very clear on what this is. It sounds like you want hits like Tkachuk had in that game, and you don't want what Kassian did to have him accountable for those hits, to hold him accountable for those hits. And if that's the case, be careful what you wish for next time around.
See, this is interesting for me because having heard the NHL's explanation of why he got 2 games generally last night in the video they released, they specifically cited, the league did, George Peros did, the Department of Player Safety did, they specifically cited his post-game comments. I'm convinced if he doesn't talk post-game the way he did, Zack Kassian, I don't know if he gets suspended. He told the world, yeah, I'm defending myself. I went after him, and he's a P word. There was revenge in his eyes. There was revenge in his actions. But I think what put it over the top was revenge from his mouth. I don't think it was a smart thing to do post-game. And I thought what he said today was equally unintelligent.
Okay, but why?
I don't think it makes a lot of sense if you're Zack Kassian to go down that road today. And quite frankly, the league may tack on a little bit extra after him saying that today. Because what he basically said today was, I'm going after him when we come back.
Yeah,
so
but
why would they not tack on an extra game then?
He can go after him just the way Tkachuk went after him.
Yeah.
That's not illegal.
But you could throw another game on top of it.
For what?
For being an idiot in front of microphones.
But what, like, even if he says he's going after him, Tkachuk went after him, nothing happened.
Because the league deemed it clean. Yeah. Because the league deemed it clean.
Right, so he can go after him the same way. I don't know what you're talking about here. And if
you don't think there was predatory nature in what he said today?
Yes, and there wasn't predatory nature in the way Tkachuk hit him? Of course.
But Tkachuk, again,
it's legal.
Like we talked about yesterday, one guy is just smarter than the other.
Okay, but
like the way Kassian goes about, Cassian's talking today. Well, I got a long memory. We're in the same division. Guess what, Jack? Last year, your contract. You have no idea where you're going to be next year. That's the first thing. Second, one guy is just way smoother about it than the other. And I don't understand why
how is
Kassian
Perros going to jump on an extra game because he's not smooth? Because he speaks his mind to the media.
You can define that
Get
today
outta here.
as also being semi-predatory.
Yeah, if he
going into that next game, January 29th.
If he swings his stick at his head, yes.
Yeah.
And I already said as much. If he just drills him the way he was drilled, then you got nothing.
Correct. But that today didn't sound like a guy who wants to just kind of go body to body and separate the man from the puck. That's a guy who's threatening another dude through the media. You didn't hear that at all in those comments today, Tim?
There's no running from it. Eventually, he'll get his.
So that's not a threat to you?
That is a threat.
That's a threat to me. But that's all I'm saying.
This is what my problem with everything, and where you're nitpicking is ridiculous to me. They're both predatory. The hits that Tkachuk laid were predatory.
But legal.
In
the eyes of George Perros.
And as I've said 1,000 times, a dirty hit doesn't have to be illegal. And an illegal hit doesn't have to be dirty. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. Think about that for a second, understand it, and then come down the road with me.
No, I understand it. What I'm saying again, and I'll repeat what I said, is I believe part of the two games was what he said post.
Okay, so if that was the case...
and that's what made today really shocking to me, that he went down that road again.
If that was the case, why did Darnell Nurse get the exact same 2 games when he jumped Roman Polak?
I mean, I got to go back and look at the video that the league released.
Well, we'll get you the video.
Let's get the video, because they specifically said in the video released last night, his post-game comments were a part of it.
Correct.
Now, Nazem Kadri last week at Madison Square Garden got nothing.
I didn't talk about Nazem Kadri.
No, but I didn't hear Kadri post-game saying anything either.
But no one said that he was going to have a hearing about an aggressor.
All I'm saying is words matter to George Perros.
As soon as they brought out aggressor, you go back to the last time an aggressor was called, and it was Darnell Nurse jumping Roman Polak. Edmonton fans saw it, understood it, and probably knew that he was going to get 2 as well if they brought up aggressor. Now, I know what you're saying about the video, but here's my problem, and this is where you might actually jump on my side of it. Is the NHL making rulings based on what's best for player safety, or is the NHL making rulings on what the optics are on their player safety?
Normally, it's optics. Because when a guy gets really hurt, that's when they really step in. Mm-hmm. To me, that's optics.
Right. So when he says what he says after the game, which I thought was not very smart either, and then today I don't think that's very smart either, because if you end up crossing a line, they are going to use that against you.
Why you continuously put yourself on George Perros' radar is just something, especially when you're not the one delivering the hits.
However,
it's crazy to me.
All of this is pretty consistent, and for me, this one's about optics.
Right.
This one's about you don't want guys grabbing people who don't want to fight and pounding them, when in fact both plays are just as dangerous as the other.
So do you think they got it right? I'm not talking about what's going to happen January 29th. I'm not talking about comments today. I'm talking about this decision specifically that was handed down last night.
Here's what I want. If you're going to let those hits go, I need you to keep the same energy when it's one of your stars that gets hit, the same way that Zack Kassian got hit. And I don't believe that. I don't believe they'll have that same energy on January 20th. If someone gets hit the exact same way that Zack Kassian got hit, I believe people will be up in arms if it is one of those guys that I mentioned earlier.
That will be the test for George Peros. Absolutely.
And
that will be the test.
If you're saying that you're okay with those hits and you don't want what Kassian did into the game, I'm saying be careful what you wish for. I understand it. I'm not surprised by it. Do I think they should have levied a 2-game suspension on him? No. I think they just should have let it go. And maybe you're right. Maybe it was what he said after the game and not the precedent that they set with
Tim,
Darnell
at
Nurse.
its core, let me make this very clear. At its core, him going after Matthew Tkachuk, there's a large part of me that is completely fine with it as a human being. Like, any human being could understand that. Now, he's not wearing his helmet while he's getting ragdolled. That's also a mitigating factor as well. But I was really surprised when they put that in the video last night, his post-game comments. I was shocked. And that to me, I firmly believe, led to the suspension. But the actual act of him reacting, I mean, he didn't hit him from behind. He didn't slew foot him. I mean, there's a lot there that could have been worse, and it wasn't there. So I understand the reaction. Mm-hmm. I need Zack Kassian just to kind of not talk for a while. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but the Oilers don't have a lot of dudes who have 13 goals on the season. I know we've reached a certain point when the Oilers, when you say they need a Zack Kassian in their lineup, they may need a Zack Kassian in their lineup.
Well, they do. They don't have a lot of guys who score
That's all
goals.
I'm saying. Like, I think there's a lot of It's funny. I don't hear a lot of Flames sticking up for Matthew Tkachuk right now. Do you? I'm not. That's not a real voice I'm hearing a lot of right now, which I'm interested.
I haven't
in.
heard a ton of it, but I wonder if I missed.
Yeah,
some
I
of it.
haven't heard everything coming out of the Flames room.
Yeah.
But I would assume if there was some real strong stuff, I would have heard it by now, and I haven't. So, I mean, that tells me something as well, but I just think the real mistake from Kassian is to keep going down this road. Is something going to happen January? Is January 29th, Flames-Oilers national TV game on Sportsnet? My guess is no.
Right now, no.
Yeah. Do you think that could be a national game? Think we can open that up?
I think there's a few that you can adjust.
Let's adjust.
Right.
Let's adjust. Dear Sportsnet, for $5 billion, let's adjust. I think we can let that game breathe on national TV. Now, listen to me. I'm a bit of a hypocrite here. I'm saying, how dare Zack Kassian keep talking this talk? What the hell is he thinking about? And the other part of me is, I can't wait to see this game.
Yeah, but you could say everything Kassian said and left out. Eventually, he'll get his.
That was the line.
But he's telling the truth.
That was the line. He is. That's the other part of this, that is interesting.
This is the part of the conversation that is mind-blowing to me, okay? And this is the part of the conversation I wanted to have with you yesterday, and I don't think we had it, and it's a part of the conversation that I keep bringing up to you. Okay, so 2-game suspension, you're not allowed to do this, you're allowed to do this. You're not allowed to grab the guy, but you're allowed to run the guy. Are you okay with that in the game?
I mean, overall, no. But when we're living in this headshot world, some of these hits are way worse than others. You know that, and I know that. And again, those 2 hits from Saturday night, I don't put in the realm of a quote unquote headshot in the modern modern era of the National Hockey League. Which is why when I saw them, I was like, I've seen a lot worse, man. I've seen a lot worse than that.
You don't see it very much in the game anymore because they've taken it out of the game.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
And what George Peros said with this suspension is that those are okay, and you grabbing a guy is not. And I need to know whether or not people are okay with this. And right now, the too much, 69%, Rob Gronkowski's favorite number, is now up to 70, so we don't have to reference it. 70% of people suggesting that the suspension is too much, 20% saying too little, 10% saying just right. Hopefully we have more than 10 votes.
I believe we do. I believe we do. I was told it was 3 million votes, Tim. Give or take.
It was too even a number for me to not say that.
Stop doing quick math in your damn head.
So you don't think about the careful what you wish for?
No, I think that is, if I can come on your side for one item, that's the item. There is a message sent here
That's the only conversation I want to have.
No, but it's valid.
I don't give a bleep
It's
about
valid.
2 games. I don't give a.
It's valid.
I love Matthew Tkachuk.
I'm a huge. You and I are both huge Matthew Tkachuk guys.
I
just so
like
we're clear.
Zack Kassian and what he's been able to do with his career. Right? Like he was gone. He's put it back on the tracks.
He was going through some hard times, Zack Kassian.
Yeah, he was gone.
Yes.
He's put it back on the tracks. He's become a valuable player in the NHL, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, are you going to keep that same energy?
If that's Crosby,
Right.
if that's Austin Matthews,
Right.
You're trying to open everyone's frame of mind here. If that's Elias Pettersson,
Right.
what's the feeling?
And let me tell you something. What Zack Kassian did to protect himself or his teammates in the future might be better off long term for the NHL than allowing those hits to happen on people who can't defend themselves.
Potentially. I'm going to agree with you on that. And again, I would just suggest to Zack Kassian, don't put yourself more on the radar for a team with zero depth. They do kind of need you. Shockingly, that a team would need like a $2 million player if he's making that.
But there's no doubt he's looking for his vengeance. And there's no doubt that those 2 games, people are going to be headhunting and it's going to be fun to watch. I don't know how fun it'll be to play in.
If you're Johnny Gaudreau, you're not looking
The,
forward to the 29.
the NHL is on fire right now, and it's fun.
In what way? What do you mean?
Well, you got the Battle of Alberta, which is hotter than Dennis Green after a Bears game, right? Like that has
Good reference. Show. Late Dennis Green.
that has gone back. God rest his soul.
Rest his soul, Dennis Green.
The BOA is back.